Hi, you all, and welcome to the Voices of Logistics Planet podcast, where we deep dive into the world of logistics, uncovering its many layers through voices of industry professionals. And today we are hosting a genuinely fascinating guest, the man who knows a lot, if not everything, about parcel lockers. And of course, maybe Andre will correct me. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Andrew. Andre. Hello, Andre.
Hi, Thomas. How are you doing?
Good, good. It's really, a big privilege having you here today. So let's start. So we'll talk about parcel lockers with Andy. So let's kick start right away. So Andy, how did you found your love for parcel lockers, or did lockers find you? Please shoot your short story here.
No. First of all, maybe bit broader view on my career. I've been in several industries, in advertising business, in media publishing, in real estate. And when I was in media publishing business, then in our group there was also a logistics company that was home delivering the newspapers. So this was 10 years in Estonian market, a supervisory board position in logistics company already. And after the media publishing company, I joined Omniva or Estonian Post. That luckily has been one of the pioneers in parcel locker delivery already from the for 15 years from today. Yeah, I joined the company in 2018, just briefly before the COVID, and we are probably building the most biggest parcel locker network in the world if we count it per capita, not in absolute numbers, because big markets like Poland and even Ukraine are much bigger in absolute numbers, but per capita, Baltics and especially Estonia is one of the biggest in the world. And this also is supported with the fact that here in Baltics, 80% of the last mile deliveries are delivered through parcel lockers. So only 20% is the home delivery share. That is not the case in rest of the Europe, not talking about the rest of the world.
Nice, quite a journey. So good. So let's deep dive into the parcel lockers. Yeah. So I know I myself am from Lithuania, and when the first lockers, start appearing in my country, many had significant doubts about the business model. Will it be profitable? Will people use it? And then, however, years from now, we see the Baltic regions, as you mentioned, is amongst the leaders in parcel lockers. And what were the reasons for such success? What's your opinion? What's for the reason for the parcel lockers becoming so adaptive in this region?
The joke goes that at least Estonians are so introverted that they don't want to speak to other persons, and talking to machine is much more preferred way to communicate. But I think still the whole Baltics, we are technology geeks. We adapt technology quite well. We don't have years of experience in home delivery because we skipped mail order business, and we entered directly the e-commerce through internet, and that's why we learned the e-commerce through parcel lockers, so we didn't have to reinvent anything. This is probably one reason, and the other is definitely also the belief of the logistics leaders in that region in parcel lockers, because this is not only Omniva, this is Lithuanian Post, now Unisend or LP Express. This is DPD, this is Smart Posti. Everybody has been investing constantly into their network development, and the reach is very high for customers. So they have preferred locker in very close radius of their activities.
Yeah, good points. And which countries are now leading the way? And it's Baltics, but if looking in the
It
world.
Baltics, it's the whole Scandinavia, and then Poland. Poland is sort of totally different or a special case, and they call it Lockerland, and for a good reason, because this is the home country of InPost that is now developing their pan-European activities and probably sort of Amazon of the logistics right now, with a development speed in UK, in other countries.
Yeah, and what about let's say USA, let's say Australia, those parts, are they going the same way, or those countries maybe are too big, for this to happen?
Let's say this way, that Europe is very advanced in general with autonomous delivery or out of home delivery. Then there is an interesting region of Asia, especially China, that is very automated, and there is a company called Hivebox that is intended to list themselves into Hong Kong Stock Exchange. They are having 50,000 parcel lockers in China. So European leader InPost is having 50,000. They have a huge number more.
Fascinating.
When we're talking about America, North America especially, then they are lagging behind. This is the country of home delivery. There are three dominant carriers, USPS, FedEx, and UPS in US, and they basically don't have any lockers, and the customers are very used to that. But I believe that we are very close to opening these markets also for locker delivery, because one reason more why lockers are gaining popularity. One is that the customer prefer that. They are providing unattended delivery. Courier and customer doesn't need to meet in order to make an exchange. This is one thing. The second thing, from the courier company point of view, parcel locker delivery is cheaper, more and less labor intensive. So when one home delivery courier can deliver, let's say, depending on the area, but 100 to 150 parcels per day, then the same courier who service parcel lockers could easily deliver 1,500 lockers per day. So this is the difference in scale, and because of the demographics, you see that there is a shortage of manual labor already now. And when we are looking for the Gen Zs, 20 years ago, the young boys, their dream was be a firefighter or a policeman or at least astronaut. Nowadays, young boys and girls want to be influencers, AI specialists, whatever,
Yeah.
but not the delivery drivers.
They believe that this is easy, but it's not,
Exactly. But anyway, being a delivery driver is quite an out proposition. So we have to change the thing. We don't have drivers anymore soon. Let's take the German market. I'm talking about the long distance drivers, but there is a need for, there is approximately 500,000 drivers in Germany, and they are in short of 70,000 already today. The trend is not getting better. If the and on the other side, when we are taking the parcel volumes, e-commerce parcel volume, they are growing with a pace of 15-20% per year. It has been so far last 10 years, and there is no visible end to that. So if the volumes are growing, we need to absorb that volume, and that's why the out of home and parcel lockers are fitting into the picture very well, because customers accept to use them, and this is cheaper for both retailer and the carrier.
Yeah, good point. So if I understand correctly, okay, there's a lot of sense for those logistics operators, last mile operators. There's a lot of sense for those who are shipping those e-commerce parcels here. So talking about the rest of the world, this problem is still with the consumers, as I prefer. No, yes, they not maybe, or it's not the case. Maybe those providers need to do more on promoting this kind of deliveries. Because on maybe talking about sustainability, about other things. What's your opinion on that?
This is also a very interesting topic to cover. When I was operating here in Baltics, parcel lockers, so I thought that I do master the operation. I do know how the things has to be done. But appears no. Every market is different. There are different business relationships. There are different customer habits. Let's say German market has so used to home delivery. There are safe places. There are customers are defining places where couriers can leave the parcels. Customers can ask to leave the parcel to the neighbor. That is usually not the case in Baltics, so
No.
we don't do that. But there are different markets and different situations. So in Baltics and in a northern part of Europe, customers have been used to pay for the delivery. I think you know that if you are buying something, then there is usually 2-3 euros delivery cost, or if the checkout
But
amount.
yeah, this is a good point, Andre. But when you're checking all the studies from customers' perspective, marketing perspective, this change happened only here. I don't know how it's in other parts, but in Baltics, yes, there's already up some for delivery. But in the rest of the world, if companies are showing this, trends are saying that the repeat buys or buying drops. I don't know if this is the case.
Yes, this is exactly my point where I wanted to head, that there are markets where customers are sort of enjoying free delivery because the retailers don't charge separately for delivery, and they are paying for the carriers for the delivery. The thing is that this is the biggest scam of all the times, because retailers are paying for the delivery. They are paying for the delivery, and they are paying for the customer's money. They don't have an additional revenue streams to cover the delivery costs. So basically, customers are paying still for the delivery. They are not only charged for that. But what happens is that in this kind of free delivery model, the carrier customer is actually the retail. So retail decides, they are buying the cheapest option that is available. So what happens is that customers are still paying for the delivery, but they have no right to choose how it is going to be delivered or where it's going to be delivered. So my first thesis for successful parcel locker delivery is that customers has to get the control over the delivery. Customers do like the parcel locker delivery. They need to have the possibility to say that I do want to get parcel locker delivery. So this is definitely one obstacle in many markets, that customers don't have this kind of incentive possible at all, and that's why it's very hard to build up a parcel locker network. Let's take Germany, a huge market, the biggest market in Europe, and parcel lockers are not developed at all because Amazon with Prime services are providing same day free delivery, and it's almost impossible to compete with the offering that do you want to pay for the delivery if Amazon is delivering for free. So there are different setups, there are different problems. The successful parcel locker business involves definitely very good communication to the customer, educational things, but also very good planning, because you do need to make customers' life easier. So if you are installing a parcel locker 5 kilometers from his home or his route, so that he has to take a special drive to the parcel locker, this is not the winning formula. You have to place the locker into the position that is convenient for the customer. It's more convenient than go to home and wait for the courier.
Yeah, this is really good point, because in the small city I live, we have I can't count, but maybe 15 lockers, and I have 3 lockers. No, one is now it's closed. So I have one locker which is a half kilometer from me, and then the other. So it works. So when placing those, what data, just curious, what data do one needs to analyze, if they want to build a successful, parcel locker network, on how to calculate, where to place it, how those companies are doing that.
So this is actually the most hot topics among parcel locker network operators right now. They call it location scouting.
Okay.
How to because the story goes that when you start your parcel locker network, then for the humans living in the area, it is very easy to spot the most popular places. The first 15 places in your town, everybody can put the finger on that. But now if you need to add 10 more places in that city for the lockers, it's not so obvious anymore. Then exactly you have to go to the data. You have to turn to the data and how companies are tackling that problem. First, there are already several companies who are providing services with that. There are special SaaS software that is powered with the demographics and traffic data, because there are two things in a sense, not only where people live, but also where do they move. Because some lockers, I think from your experience also, some lockers that you like might not be closest to your home, but they are in your certain commuting route that you drive through or visit oftenly. So there are several softwares already available for location scouting. Usually companies has in-house teams. This is a big function already, because this is not only finding the location, this is also making the contract with the landowner. Sometimes this is working with municipalities to have some kind of permit. Then there is some kind of paperwork. So this is a huge task, and usually in companies there are teams dedicated to location management also already. And then there are sort of negotiations and partnerships. It's very common that parcel locker networks are making central deals with some retailers, whether grocery stores or other stores networks, to place lockers in front of their retail locations. Also, gasoline stations. It's not popular in Baltics. In some countries, gasoline stations are filled with the lockers. So yeah, this is a big topic, and this is a crucial topic for building a successful parcel locker network.
Yeah, so it's with parcel lockers, like other parts. Place is the key thing, yes, to understand. So interesting, So, and yeah, we touched about parcel lockers a lot already. But what are the issues? I myself, I'm picking up now a lot of my e-commerce buys from there. The first time I had such problem, it was I think in previous week, just I get the parcel, I put in the code, just pay for the parcel, and try to take it out. It doesn't go out, so it's in the small box. They just, I don't know, the driver just maybe pushed it really hard, so I can't take it out. So what other things? So this is, I think, one of the things maybe some may avoid, the maybe the place, and not very convenient. What the other issues with parcel lockers that need to be solved in the future?
So maybe the biggest problem for the carriers and the network owner is the capacity. Parcel locker has a fixed capacity, a certain number of compartments, and that's it. Not more, not less. And there are peak season that the parcel volumes are not very steady. Everybody knows in retail that during the Christmas time, it's quite common that you are doing half of the volume of the year with parcels. So to manage capacity, this is extremely important, because why this is important? This is not only the profitability, this is also the customer experience. If you have overcapacity, then instead of next day or 2-day delivery, customer might get the parcels in 7 days, and usually it ends up in Facebook or TikTok or
Or
whenever.
in different parcel lockers. I usually get in different parcel lockers. I booked there, I receive somewhere completely else.
Yeah, but again, there are on top of that, there are technological issues. Lockers are still sort of technology. Something can happen there, but also more detailed problems. Let's say there are ways, or the problems. Not everybody is very long person, so but the lockers in sometimes are quite high. So there is a problems in some cases that people cannot reach to the upper rows, or the other problem is that sometimes there in an upper row there are the biggest sizes of the lockers are there, and there is one certain type of products, and this is dog food. If you order a dog food, it comes with a 40-50 kilos sort of bag, and
Yeah, I
this
do
is
this. I do
if
this.
if this is put on the upper locker, even with the strongest man, not talking about a female person, can be surprised if the thing is falling out of the lockers. But this is again, this is speciality of the partial locker network operator. This can be avoided. If I'm the network owner, then I can make sort of my client portal, and I can save clients' preferences. If clients state that they are short person and they want to get their parcel in the top three down rows, it can be done because
But if it's full, let's say
yeah,
the parcel.
it's not easy, but it can be done. So there are several sort of tricks operator can do with software in order to avoid these kind of potential problems.
Okay, good. So this moves it to other part, because of course there are some other, let's say, can be some other. I hear that people with displacements, they also are facing some challenges here. So what do you think? Will we see, upcoming 5 years? How will those parcel lockers look like? Maybe we will see a, completely different design. Maybe we will see, I don't know, some other things, or what do you think? How will those parcel lockers look in 5 years, or will we have the same lockers, just wider networks?
No, technically, this sort of boxes, this is the cheapest way to build a locker or parcel station, let's call it this way. There are already several robotic solutions that will take smaller space, and sort of there is some kind of automated shelf system inside, so that your parcel is delivered through the robotic hand to you. It's more
But this
expensive.
big one, yeah, big ones,
Yes, there are
or it's
big
small.
ones, and now there are small ones. I was recently in Berlin, Leaders in Logistics event, where one German startup was presenting a movable parcel locker with a robotic system. So this is like a van. You can deliver it to whatever location, and there is one hatch through what customers can get the locker. So let's say, if I see how AI and robotics is developing right now, in what speed, I'm not sure that after 5 years we will not have different already also humanoid robots that can hand over the parcels. So yes, I believe that this kind of parcel locker that we know it today will be the major device still for the next 10-15 years, but most probably also a new technology will come. And this is not only technology. There was an interesting debate lately that maybe parcel lockers has to go underground, because let's take this space that is the locker is occupying now on the surface.
Mhm.
Basically, it can be done also in underground, and there is some kind of lifting mechanism that brings the parcel to the customers. Then there is another trend that we see. The retail stores and service points in big cities are closing themselves. So some cafeterias, smaller shops, they are outcompeted, and there are quite a mentionable vacancy of this kind of smaller business real estate in the cities. And in UK and Paris, in London and Paris, this is already the case. InPost is building parcel lockers into the sort of previous cafeteria facilities. So most probably this will be the trend that business real estate will be used as the locker space for handover means, and this is the other trend. Maybe what we see again, we are talking now about parcels. This is an interesting segment, but much bigger and more important segment is so-called office lockers.
Mm.
And this is a trend started from the COVID or started from the new normality after the COVID, that we have hybrid working model, so that we don't have any more offices with dedicated desks. They call it now hot desking. There is, let's say, companies are downgrading their office space. It means that
Okay.
it means that there are, instead of 100 tables, there are 50 tables now, because people are there are certain frequency they are using. But in order to facilitate the personal stuff and belongings, there's a need for lockers, and this is growing enormously already. So what I'm trying to say is, although we have been talking for 30 minutes about parcel lockers, parcels are not the only use case to use lockers. There are office lockers, there are luggage lockers. There are now agnostic parcel locker networks that are working with directly with service providers. Just recently, MyFlexbox in Germany is using with a bakery, so that the bakery who is making cakes on demand, they will put it to the locker. In a sense, customer don't need to go to the
bakery, yeah.
but can order it to their locker. So the lockers will be used for very several things, for dry cleaning, for rentals, for different things. Yes, right now the biggest use case is parcels, but this is not going to end up with the parcels. This is only beginning. So lockers will be, in the future, lockers will be part of the urban, and not only urban, but the rural also, infrastructure, like electricity, water pipes. Lockers will be part of our modern infrastructure, and we will have access to every parcel locker if we need it. We can use in the future every locker, every compartment, to whatever thing. If I need to leave you the keys in your hometown, I will go to the locker. I can have, through my mobile phone, arrange that I will use that compartment for, I don't know, 3 days, and you have access for that.
Nice. So you're saying that, of course, this develops a lot. So what do you think? Will we see much more companies? I don't know how to call it, logistic companies entering the market, or will the market of all kinds of lockers be in those few hands that they are today? What's your opinion on that, Andre?
If I need to predict, then my prediction is that real estate funds will enter the locker market. Right now, this is operated by carriers because they have the volume, they have the business, they have the need for that. But if we are looking for the parcel locker business, then you already mentioned what is the first rule of that: location, location, location. This is the motto of actually real estate business.
Yeah.
So the location is the key. If we are looking the locker network, then this is quite a heavy capex investment that usually carriers don't do. This is not in their sort of DNA to make big investments for 10, 20 years. But this is what real estate is doing. They are used to finance projects that lifetime is 50 years, 100 years. And again, if we are investing into the locker, into the one location, then yes, the locker might stand there, the same locker for 10, 15 years, but the location will be there for 100 years. So in my head, the locker business is sort of location business. If you invest into the lockers, you invest into the location, into the potential clients, and this is what real estate does every day. And I believe that there are already some samples where sort of longer money is entering this market. So I think that again, also what comes to Baltic operators, think sooner or later the networks will be sold to financial institutions.
Nice, but you're saying that it will be sold. But for example, I'm a developer. I just build a nice house or some other object, and I'm building an parcel lockers and rent it. So it's additional revenue streams. Yeah, so this can also happen. Yeah, and then this you're talking about as well. So and then you can just rent this to any last mile provider or anyone else.
But the point is that if let's say Lithuanian Post or Omniva will sell their network to the financial investor, then they will still be the clients of that network because they will use it, but they will get the resources of finances to develop their core business, because actually building a real estate network is not the mission of any logistics company.
Yeah,
their know-how is in other places, how to handle the movement of the things. So yeah, but again, this is one scenario. Maybe I'm wrong. Doesn't
who knows?
Be right all the time, but definitely there are going to be some changes.
Okay, Anders. So good. So just to understand, for all those who are listening to us, maybe they're not even have seen any lockers. How much does a locker cost? To develop for a provider, if you can say such things.
No, let's say the price for a functioning 20 compartment locker can start from 2,000 euros, and
it's not big, not much.
No, yeah, and but you can pay for the locker also for hundreds of thousands of lockers, but it means that it will facilitate 700 parcels.
Yeah, so it's the math quite good here, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is not only that. This is the capex investment. Then you have location cost. Usually, when you rent some land, you pay for that. You have operational costs like electricity, communication, insurance. Then you have carrier costs because couriers are delivering there. So
Of course.
the capex investment is not the only one.
Good. And the time flies. So for the end, let's end the discussion by maybe you can disclose the biggest myths around parcel lockers, if you have some.
I've heard so many myths and so many wrong statements about them. I can choose
two or three. Let's choose two.
Let's say whether this is home delivery or out of home delivery parcel lockers. Again, I don't see any way that home delivery can be prevalent delivery method, because people are more mobile than ever. They are not staying at home, and staying at home in certain agreed times is very painful. That's why I believe that the lockers will be the main delivery method in the future. Maybe one thing to all the carriers, in a sense. 100 years ago, the post was delivered by horses, and horsemen were delivering the post. So today the horse is substituted with a van, and that's its do we really think that this is the end of the evolution, that we just switch the horse to the van and the life goes on with that? I don't think so. When we see the technology, AI, robotics development, I suggest every carrier who is involved in logistics has to think about automation and the ways how to bring down the labor costs, because this can't be the future.
Okay, so thank you, Andre, for sharing your incredible journey and insights and valuable advice with us today. So it's been a pleasure to explore the evolving world of parcel lockers together with you today. So, and to our listeners, thank you for tuning to the Voices of Logistics Planet podcast. We hope you enjoyed the conversation today. And don't forget to subscribe, share, and like this series. Thank you and wishing you all the best. Bye.
Thank you, Thomas.
Bye. Thank you, Andrew.